The Magic Pen. In a small, peaceful village near the mountains, there lived a poor boy named Dara. He was only 12 years old, but he had a heart full of dreams. Dara was not like the other children in the village. While others played games and ran around, Dara loved to write. He didn't have many toys, nice clothes, or even a proper bed. But he always carried an old notebook and a broken blue pen in his pocket. Writing was his favorite thing to do. Every day after school and after helping his mother sell fruits at the market, Dara would sit under a big tree near his house. It was his special spot. There, he would write stories about anything, about brave kings, kind animals, lost children, or magical places. One night, as the moon lit up the sky, Dara looked at his mother and said, "Mom, I want to become a famous writer one day. I want the world to read my stories." His mother, who was always tired from working all day, smiled softly. She gently touched his head and said, "If you work hard, Dara, and never give up, your dream will come true. Always write from your heart." But life was not easy for Dara and his mother. Dara's father had died when he was just a baby. His mother had to work every day to earn enough money for food. Dara studied in the small village school, but they didn't have many books, and sometimes he had to use the same notebook for the whole year. Even though things were hard, Dara never stopped writing. He believed that one day, something good would happen. One hot afternoon, while Dara was helping his mother at the market, he noticed an old man sitting alone under a tree. The man looked very tired and hungry. His clothes were old, and his feet were bare. People walked past him, but nobody stopped to help. Dara felt sorry for the man. He took a banana from his mother's fruit basket and walked over to him. "Here, you can have this," Dara said kindly. The old man looked up, surprised. He smiled and took the banana. "You are a kind boy," he said. "What is your name?" "My name is Dara," the boy replied. "I want to be a writer someday." The old man's eyes twinkled. "A writer? That's a powerful dream. Writers can change the world with their words. Keep writing, Dara. Never stop." Then, he reached into his old bag and pulled out a beautiful golden pen. It sparkled in the sunlight. He handed it to Dara. "This is a magic pen," the old man said in a soft voice. "Use it wisely. Write stories that help people." Before Dara could say thank you, the old man stood up and walked away. He disappeared into the crowd. Dara looked at the pen. It felt warm and special in his hand. He smiled and put it in his pocket. That night, under his favorite tree, Dara opened his notebook and started writing with the magic pen. As he wrote, something strange happened. The words on the page began to glow softly, like tiny stars. Dara's hand moved easily, and the pen seemed to know what to write. He wrote a story about a poor farmer who found gold in his field. It was a short, happy story. The next day, something amazing happened. A real farmer in the village found something shiny while digging his land. It was a box filled with old coins. People couldn't believe it. Dara remembered the story he had written. Could it be the magic pen? He decided to try again. This time, he wrote about his school getting new books, chairs, and 2 computers. A week later, a group of people from a charity organization came to visit the village school. They brought boxes full of books, pens, and 2 used but working computers. The students and teachers were so happy. Dara's eyes grew wide. "The pen really is magic," he whispered to himself. From that day on, Dara decided to use the magic pen to help others. He wrote a story about a sick child getting better. 2 days later, the child, who had been very ill, was smiling and running around. He wrote stories about families finding jobs, about hungry people getting food, about farmers growing more rice and vegetables. And every time, the stories came true. But Dara didn't tell anyone about the magic pen. He kept it a secret. He didn't want to become famous. He only wanted to help his village. Soon, the village began to change. People were happier. Children had more food. Families had hope. No one knew why these good things were happening, but they felt thankful. One day, a rich man from the city came to visit the village. He heard about all the good changes and wanted to know why. "Who is behind all this?" he asked people in the village. "How did things get better so quickly?" But no one had an answer. Then, he saw Dara sitting under the tree, writing in his notebook. The man walked over and asked, "What are you doing, boy?" "I'm writing a story," Dara said politely. The man looked at the golden pen in Dara's hand. "That's a nice pen. Where did you get it?" Dara didn't answer. He didn't want to lie, but he didn't want to tell the truth either. "I'll give you money for that pen," the man said. 10,000 riels. Dara shook his head. "It's not for sale." The man's face changed. "I can give you more. A house. A bicycle. Anything you want." But Dara still refused. "This pen is not for money. It's for helping people." The rich man laughed angrily. That night, Dara sat and wrote a story about the rich man learning to be kind. In the story, the man saw the pain of poor people and changed his heart. A week later, the rich man returned. But this time, he came with gifts. He donated books and food and even helped build a small library in the village. He had changed. Time passed. People started to notice Dara more. His teacher asked him to send one of his stories to a newspaper in the city. Dara agreed. The newspaper loved the story and published it. Soon, Dara became known as the boy with the golden pen. Journalists and writers came to visit him. They took pictures and asked questions. Some offered money. Others offered jobs. At first, Dara felt proud and happy. But then, things changed. Some people asked him to write selfish stories. One man wanted to become rich quickly. Another wanted power. One person even asked Dara to write a story to hurt someone else. Dara said no to all of them. But they became angry. They called him foolish. They said he was wasting his gift. One dark night, while Dara and his mother were sleeping, someone broke into their small house. They didn't take money. They didn't take food. They took only one thing, the magic pen. Dara was heartbroken. He cried for hours. He searched everywhere, but the pen was gone. Without the pen, Dara felt lost. He still had his notebook, but the stories no longer glowed. He wrote, but nothing magical happened. The village also began to change. People became greedy and angry. They wanted quick miracles. They forgot how to work together. Dara felt like he had failed. One evening, he returned to the old tree. He sat alone and whispered to the wind, "Why did you give me the pen? Why did you take it away?" Then, a soft voice spoke from behind him. "The pen was never magic," said a familiar voice. Dara turned around. It was the old man. Dara stood up quickly. "What do you mean? The pen made my stories come true." The old man smiled gently. "No, Dara. The pen only helped you believe in yourself. The magic was always inside you. Your kindness, your love for others, your words, that was the real power." Dara was quiet. He thought about all the stories he had written. Each one came from his heart. Each one had helped someone. "I understand now," Dara said. "I don't need a magic pen. I just need to believe in myself." The old man smiled again and walked away into the darkness. From that day on, Dara wrote more than ever. He wrote with a normal pen, but his words still touched people's hearts. He wrote about hope, about dreams, and about kindness. His stories were shared in newspapers, schools, and on the radio. He became a real writer, not because of a magic pen, but because he cared about others and worked hard. Many years later, Dara published a book called The Magic Pen. On the first page, he wrote, "The real magic is not in the pen, but in your heart. If you believe in yourself and help others, you can change the world." His book became famous. Children, teachers, and even leaders read it. People learn from his message. And in the same village, under the same tree where Dara used to write, people built a statue. It showed a young boy holding a pen and a notebook. On the statue, words were carved. Believe in your dreams. Help others. Write your story. Be the magic.